Busch Gardens in Tampa, Florida is one of my favorite theme parks. It's home to 9 great roller coasters, and today I'm going to show you which ones make my top 5. Now before I get started, let me just say that ranking these coasters was not easy. Busch Gardens Tampa has such a unique collection of coasters that you could ask 10 different people what their top 5 coasters would be, and you would probably get a different order with each person. With that being said, I'd like to give an honorable mention to Cobra's Curse. I absolutely love Cobra's Curse, and I am so happy that Busch Gardens put this amount of planning into a coaster that the entire family can enjoy. So often riders under 48 inches get left out, but that's just not the case with Cobra's Curse. It has a minimum height requirement of 42 inches with an adult, and this is one ride that the entire family will enjoy. I like to think of Cobra's Curse as a gadget coaster. There are just so many cool things that are rarely seen on a coaster. From the incredible theming to the moving belt floor that loads the coaster, to the awesome elevator lift hill, and the way the coaster turns backwards in the middle of the ride and spins during the entire experience. This is one ride you just can't miss out on. Coming in at number 5 is Tigris. When I was at Busch Gardens, Tigris was only open for a limited amount of time. It was just a soft opening, and because of this I did not get a chance to ride it. However, I did get a chance to film it run a few times, and I've also got many rides on the clone that is at Busch Gardens Williamsburg called Tempesto. If you've never rode a Skyrocket 2 coaster before, then you are really going to enjoy Tigris and will probably rank it higher than I did. I'm just used to riding them, and I get more excited when I'm at Busch Gardens Tampa for the coasters that are a little more unique. But yeah, this coaster offers a fantastic forward and backward launch, along with some solid air and hang time. Number 4 is SheiKra. SheiKra is a 200-foot tall dive coaster that really has some incredible theming. Dive coasters bring you to the top of a chain lift hill, and then they hang you over the top of the drop for several seconds before letting you go. SheiKra features floorless sit-down trains like most dive coasters, but that wasn't always the case. When it was first built, it did have trains that featured a floor, but they were switched out several years later. If you ride in the front seat, you will have an amazing view, but if you really want the best drop possible, ride it in the back seat. It'll whip you over that drop for a much more exciting dive. I love the colors of SheiKra, and the theming is the best of all the dive coasters I've been on. Coming in at number 3 is Kumba. Now let me start off by saying that Kumba has got to be in my top 5 for best looking coasters to film. Sometimes you have a coaster that is so amazing and you just can't get anywhere to film or watch it in action. And Busch Gardens just decided to repaint it, and it couldn't look better. Kumba was built in 1993 by B&M, and what they delivered was a ride that 26 years later is still cherished by people that visit the park. I found it to still be running very smooth and was surprisingly better than I expected it to be. But what really makes Kumba so great is the world they created around it. From the way it cuts through the trees and the awesome bridges to the way the 2 loops follow the terrain. I wish all coasters could look as good. Number 2 is Montu. Montu is a B&M inverted coaster that I absolutely love. As of the making of this video, it is my favorite inverted coaster. Busch Gardens didn't cut any corners when it came to the theming of this ride, which is the case with most of their rides. I'd watched so many reviews and videos of this ride before I went to Busch Gardens Tampa, but I did not expect it to deliver the way it did. It was very powerful, bringing one element after another, and about halfway through the ride I was thinking it was over, and yet it just kept bringing it. I found the ride to be incredibly smooth and very re-rideable. And coming in at number 1 is none other than Cheetah Hunt. I absolutely love Cheetah Hunt, and one reason I like it so much is because it's such a unique ride. Like most rides at Busch Gardens, you can really tell that a ton of planning went into this coaster. Everything is placed perfect, and you can tell it was built around the theme they were after. It features 3 awesome launches and hits a max speed of 60 miles per hour. Now if you're looking for Maverick 2.0, you won't find it here. This ride is much more tame and focuses more on the overall experience. You start out of the station with the first launch. It brings you to 30 miles an hour. You then make a sharp left-hand turn that dives under a walkway before hitting your second and most powerful launch. One that propels you to 60 miles an hour through an awesome looking alley before bringing you 102 foot in the air. From here, the coaster will go through a really cool figure 8 element that will give you great views of Busch Gardens before dropping you 130 foot. You then experience a heartline roll before weaving back and forth 4 times. After this, you will hit your third and final launch that will bring you to 40 miles an hour before popping you over in airtime here. When this ride ends, you'll want to get right back in line for another ride, but keep in mind, the lines for this can get long. If you haven't got a chance to visit Busch Gardens Tampa, then it should be near the top of your list. It's a great park that has so much to offer, and best of all, this park is open year-round.